What's going on, guys? Decoration Dude here, and today I have a really cool video on this 2023 Haunted Mansion organ player. Now, in my opinion, this thing was a huge letdown. I think Gemmy had the potential to make the coolest inflatable we've seen in a really long time. I'll kind of get more into that in a minute. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still really cool that we have a organ inflatable sound for like the first time since 2011. But honestly, this thing could have been made so much better. Now, I did get this guy off 'Tis Your Season, which this is exclusive to them. That's the only place you can get it as of now. And I got this off their website in July. I just haven't made a video on it because I wanted to make some modifications, and I finally got those done. Now, there was a prototype of this listed on eBay, and it played like the actual Haunted Mansion theme song instead of like just the organ, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know, it may have had both soundtracks, I'm not too sure. But that thing sold pretty fast, and it actually sold cheaper than what these go for on 'Tis Your Season. And I did get a discount on mine too because they had a 15% off promo code on their Instagram, and that pretty much covered shipping. It wasn't much. But like I said, I did modify this. I put blue LEDs in the organ player itself, and then the ghost faces on the pipes. And this is actually the second time I've had to put those lights in, because the first time I messed up and I just wanted to redo it because I wasn't happy, and it did take a while. It was not very easy. Now, I ended up giving the lights their own plug because I just didn't want to take apart the little box on the fan that houses all the wiring, because there's just so much in there. It's got wires for the animation motor, it's got wires for the sound box, it's got wires for the lights, and I just knew that was going to be a huge mess, and it was going to be hard to get that all to fit back in there, and I would have to tie these wires up in there to the positive and negative, and I just didn't want to mess with it. So I just ended up adding a new plug that comes out of the zipper, and it's really not that big of a deal because no one will be able to see it. Now there are two different types of wires here because, like I said, I messed up and I had to redo it. So I just used, I saved some money by just reusing the wire off of the old lights that I used instead of having to go out and get new wire. So that's why it's like two different wires there. But here's the item itself. Now, it does have a YEF 125 on it, and I think a 200 would have been a very good fan for this. I mean, it's not it's not necessary, but it would have been nice because the pipes only really have like one hole about, I don't know, that big that gives air up to them, so they inflate very good, but it's just they're weak. Like if something, they fall over really a lot. They flop around kind of if the wind was blowing on them, so a 200 would have been nice, but at least it's not an 80 or anything. And that was another thing, it's what kind of made this really hard, is that this thing had all the pipes to get to the pipes you had to go through a hole about this big. So I had to work through that to get the lights up into there, and it was just a mess. And that's why it took so long, because I didn't really plan for that, and so that's why I had to kind of redo it. I should have looked in there first. But also for the organist himself, you have to go all the way to the bottom, down underneath his seat, then up, and I didn't really plan for that either. I thought you could kind of just go straight up through the base of his, like right where his feet were. I thought you could go up through there somewhere. But I'll go ahead and get it inflated, and I'll kind of show you some of the modifications and stuff, because I did make a couple, but only one major modification. Alrighty, so there he is. Like I said, I felt like Gemmy kind of really let us down on this one, because this doesn't come with blue lights. I added the blue lights, and it doesn't come with blinking C7s. I added those All those are blinking C7s, and it also has one down here. Those ones just take a long time to warm up. I was debating about putting like flickering bulbs in the candles, but they just weren't bright at all, so I didn't. And I'll turn the sound box on in a minute. But honestly, this cape, it just looks horrible. I mean, it just looks like they didn't take any time with it, and it doesn't even cover like the shoulders or anything. It's just there. And I think they should have gave it a cape like the organ dancers have. It kind of goes all the way around on both sides. I think that would have made them look a lot better. And my biggest complaint about this thing is the pipes, because it just looks so weird. Like, have you ever seen an organ with 4 pipes? I don't think it exists, because most have like over 50 probably that go like all the way around. Some don't, but a lot do. And honestly, it just looks horrible. I think at least they should have added 2 more pipe, or 1 more pipe on each side. They even have a spot for them. They just didn't, because, you know, they're cheaping out these days, and it just looks, you know, it just doesn't look good. And the tops of the organ pipes are yellow. It's not that big of a deal, but I think it would have looked a lot better if they were black. So like I said, I feel like they had a lot of potential to make this a really good, really cool design. Another thing they could have done, which would have been like really, really cool, is if they added another row of pipes behind these ones, like the actual organ player has. Like, if you look up the Haunted Mansion organ player, has a ton of pipes, but this one has 4, and it's pretty bad looking, to be honest with you. And I was debating about, you know, trying to do something about that, but I just don't have the time to. I was thinking about using one of my older organs to take some pipes and put them on there, but I'm like, it wouldn't match. The colors would be faded on my old ones, and I just don't want to have to take apart one of my older organs, because those things are pretty rare now. And then I'd have to sew them all on there. It would just be a mess, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I mean, I finally finished the customization, and I did mention that I ran into some problems with that, and like I was saying, I didn't really plan on having to go through a tiny hole and then maneuver through all the pipes, through all the other holes. So that took extra wire that I didn't plan for, and I didn't plan on having to go all the way down, all the way over, and all the way up through tiny holes to get up to him. And another thing I didn't plan for is I used LED blue C9 bulbs, but you know, the LEDs in there are the same size as any other LED. The shell, the plastic shell, is actually what makes it like a C9. It's just not. It just makes it look bigger. It has no other effect on it. And that was really weighing. They put a lot of extra weight up on the pipes that it didn't need. So I mean, like, if I were to like kind of push on the pipes, they would kind of fall back because there's a lot of weight. So what I did is I took everything out, redid it all, and I did C6 bulbs instead, and it's definitely a lot better. I mean, there's still some things that I'm like, it's not perfect and I'm not completely happy with, but overall it looks really good. Way better than what it did before. I mean, as you can see, one of the things is there's a shadow of the wire for the lights right there, and there's really nothing I can do about that. Maybe move the C7 down a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, it's done now, and the last thing I did was I moved the light from his head. I took it up into the pipes, and then I took the lights that were up in the spaces, and I put them down into, you know, the valves here of the pipes. But yeah, if anything, this thing looks way better than it does in the dark. So I will go ahead and turn the lights off, and I'm gonna adjust it a little bit, and I will be right back. Alrighty guys, so I moved it a little bit just to get a better angle at it, and I turned off the lights, and here it is. And I do have to say, I am very happy with how the customization turned out, and honestly, this thing looks 10 times better than it did when I originally got it. And if you have one of these, I highly recommend adding the blue lights to the organ player. And if you know, feel like tackling the task of getting them up into the pipes, go for it. It looks really good, and I think this will look really good in my Haunted Mansion section if I have enough space for it. I kind of have to plan out the whole yard and everything, but hopefully this will look good next to the Doom buggy I have, which I haven't made a review on. There'll be a review on that soon. So I'm going to cut the video one more time, and I'm going to turn on the sound. I probably won't do any talking over that bit. I'll just show the inflatable, and that will be it. So, yeah. Don't have anything else to say about this one. Very cool design. Gemmy could have done so much better with it. It's cool that we got an organ with sound now, and, you know, since the last one was 2011, but, you know, I feel like overall it was a letdown. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, and thanks for watching, guys.